all the time. Almost every cast will be cold infused sparks and then Comet rain. With a little bit of comets and comets on crit. And let's not forget, it will be exposure, this and that, and basically bombardment of the comets. And now it's a comet rain! Hail and meshes. Yeah, we are ready. Finally this lady melting everything around her. And it's insanely fun. Before league even started, I posted this video on my secret channel, explaining why Spark is insanely cool and broken on the new sorceress in 0.4. By the way, I'm showing how to craft godlike items and farm loads of divines over there, so if you're interested you can check it out. But anyway, finally we are ready to show these broken interactions, and it's pretty fun. We are still not in a perfect items yet, but it's already working, already clearing all the content, and that's how it works. So normally there's lots of spells that can be boosted by new mechanic, infusions, and Spark can be boosted by cold infusion. So normally if you want to cast really powerful Spark, you need to use Ice Bomb to get this cold infusion, but you need to wait a little bit. And it's insanely powerful because normally Spark dealing up to 300 lightning damage, but if it cold infused, it will have 500 damage on top and even more lightning damage. So it's like triple DPS boost if you're using this exact version of Spark. Pretty crazy. But getting these cold infusions is not that easy. But look over here, we create these two orbs. These two balls normally will disappear and give us lightning infusions. But what we have over here? Well, we got cold infusions, yeah. Right now we can use these cold infused sparks and they will freeze everyone around them. And basically we will cast them a lot. All the time, almost every cast will be cold infused sparks and then Comet rain. It's insanely fun and just crazy looking. So, how it works? Basically, normally when you cast these balls, they should create lightning infusions. But we're taking this big node on passive tree, this keystone, and now instead of creating lightning infusions, we will create cold infusions. Instead of cold infusions, it will be fire infusions, and instead of fire, it will be lightning. Yeah, elemental equilibrium at its finest. But we're not ending over here. As you can see, we got a bunch of lightning infusions ready right now. Why it works like that? Well, take a look over here. When we get these infusions, every time we get cold infusions, we're getting also fire and also lightning infusions at the same time. Yes, and that's because we picked Stormweaver. So this Stormweaver, last ascendancy points over here, not last, like first, gives us ability to get extra elemental infusion of different kind when we're getting elemental infusions. Therefore, every time we get infusions from these two balls, we're also getting fire and lightning. And now all we need to do is to have access to fire and lightning infusions to finish the cycle, because when we get these fire infusions and not using them, sometimes they not trigger this unlimited loop of infusions and getting loads of stuff. We got solution, so look, we will get like 2 infusions right now, and we got 1 fire and 1 lightning, and that's exactly how it works. And what can be better to eat fire infusions than Comet? Yeah, normal Comet do basically the highest damage in the game. It's 2k cold damage at level 18 Comet, so it's low level Comet right now. I don't have all the Comets leveled up to maximum, because I got like loads of comets. Yeah, little spoiler, it will be cast on everything sorceress, but you already know it based on our thumbnail. So, fire infused comet will also increase cold damage and also will have more fire damage, which is just insane. And we will add a little bit of insanity on top by getting 1 more skill in our rotation, Frost Wall. Yeah, Frost Wall will freeze enemies, but when it's lightning infused, it will deal lightning damage instead with magnitude of chill inflicted. So it still will chill targets, but it will deal lightning damage, therefore it will shock enemies a lot more often. And also it will shatter, with the help of Comet it will deal more damage. And to use this combination, we need our wand. Yeah, it's really a key for our build. You want to have this Spell Slinger dueling wand. I got nice crafting guide, also link in a pinned comment, but basically we're using cold and lightning skills. So we can't focus on one single type of skill right now. And we want critical hit chance. Critical hit chance is important to use cast on critical later. Most important part is Spell Slinger spell. So yeah, that's why we need dueling wand. We can't use any other wand, we want this spell slinger spell, and if you can find level 20 spell slinger, it's like the key. So level 18 spell slinger will give you ability to use only 4 sockets over here, and yeah, you can do something like Comet, Frost Wall, Spell Cascade, and Boundless Energy to gain energy faster. But when it combined with energy retention, well, it's just broken. So look here, we got 100% on Spell Slinger, and it works super easily. Basically, when it's at 0%, you just need to cast spells, and that's it. So you will get your energy. Now, I will just cast Spell Slinger spell, and it will instantly create wall, and instantly will destroy it with Comet, just like that. It's pretty cool. But with all the combinations and passive skill tree, we're getting 62% energy instantly. So right now I can't use Spell Slinger, but with just 2 casts of Spark at 79%, I can actually cast it once again. And that's basically how it works. Like, we can run and gun with Spell Slinger and refund energy almost all the time and just bombard everyone with Comets and Frost Walls. While at the same time, Comets will freeze, ignite enemies because they will be fire infused thanks for our rotation. Frost Wall will be lightning infused and also will shock enemies. And this will trigger cast of on elemental ailment. What's going on over here? Well, every time we inflict some ailments on enemies, when we freeze, shock or do some other weird stuff to them, this skill gains energy, and whenever it gains energy up to 100, it will trigger itself. What happens on trigger? Well, in my build, Comet happens. Basically, we're using Comet and one more Comet, and also combining it with Spell Cascade and the same support gems for refunding energy and gaining energy faster. Spell Cascade is just fun stuff. Again, you can basically like remove it, but it creates multiple comets from one single comet, and we're creating multiple comets from 2 comets, and it's basically like a million of comets. So let's trigger this stuff. It will trigger like probably when I use Spell Slinger, so boom. No, need one more to trigger, and that's it. So there was like custom crit, but basically again, it's custom crit, it's also at the same time custom elemental ailment, and they just rotate. About custom crit, well, it's basically the same stuff. Whenever we use Spell Slinger, we're creating basically like 3 Frost Walls, and at the same time 3 Comets. Thanks for Spell Cascade. All of them can freeze, ignite, shock enemies, and also all of them can crit. So we get like 6 chances to crit, and then we get like 6 more chances to crit thanks for cast of elemental ailment, and when they crit, well, they trigger cast on critical. It works exactly the same, but when you crit, it gains energy, and it creates a bunch of comets, and these comets will freeze and ignite enemies. It will trigger cast on elemental ailment, and it will trigger critical hit strike, and we will spam comets and sparks, and basically it's just crazy. All we need to have is a little bit of infusions, and we got a bunch of them. Thanks for siphon elements, which will create remnants whenever we freeze, ignite and shock enemies. Again, we're doing this basically all the time with all our skills, and that's how like the full rotation works. We just do a bunch of balls here and there, we run and gun, we do this crazy stuff, and it's just insane. Comets are everywhere, removing monsters from existence, and coolest part, comets are basically like targeting all the guys automatically. Also, there is no cast time, they just drop, and we can create this rain of comets. Now you basically know how the build idea works, but how we face bosses? Well, versus bosses, basically gameplay is the same, we're changing nothing, we're just spamming spells and hoping we will drop a rain of comets on them, but to increase damage output we're using 2 skills. It's Frost Bomb, that will apply exposure, and Elemental Weakness, that will remove enemy resistance. They stack together, unlike exposure and penetration. So here we're using Potent Exposure, Height and Curse to just improve power of our Frost Bomb, and Elemental Weakness resistance debuff on enemies, and also we're using a bunch of other skills, basically Cursed Ground and Ritualistic Curse, so we don't need to reapply this curse all the time, we just need to place boss in the circle, and circle will be pretty big, and also Magnified Area, Compressed Duration, Spell Cascade and Overabundance. Spell Cascade is actually optional, probably I'm still trying to figure out what I want to have from this skill, but that's basically how it looks like. We will charge our Spell Slinger before we will get our infusions, he will drop down, it will be exposure, this and that, and basically bombardment of the comets. And now it's a comet rain. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But if you ever played a sorcerer just a little bit, you already know the problem. The problem we may face with this kind of build. We are raining basically rains of comets. But, how to sustain mana? As you can see, my mana is never depleted. Well, if you followed my build guide for sorcerers, you saw that we used Mind over Matter before to survive until this point. It actually works, it's great, but it reduces our mana recovery and we can't afford it. With this exact setup, we want to have mana cost efficiency and mana regeneration rate as high as possible, so that's the key. And depending where are you in your journey right now, there's different ways how you can approach this stuff. First of all, Zenith. Zenith is really great, it increases mana cost efficiency, and also your spells will deal more damage while you're above 90% of your maximum mana. Here's the fun part, there's also efficiency that can stack together, and basically you can have spells that will cost almost nothing. You will need to sacrifice something, however. So I would say the most important part for this build is Comet and Boundless Energy. You want to gain increased energy. Then you can just get Zenith, you can get efficiency. So if you got just 4 sockets, it can be like that. And instead of second Comet, instead of spell cascade, for example, actually the best way you can play this build is to apply pinpoint critical on all of the skills. So instead of like 2 comets, it's better to have just 1. 2 comets just looks very fun, but let's be honest, pinpoint critical, Zenith for better mana retention instead of spell cascade. And yeah, we will use just 1 comet from cast on elemental ailment, but it will more likely to crit, it also will be more likely to deal more damage. And again, our damage amplified not only by frost bomb and elemental weakness, but also by our equipment. Before we jump to equipment, all the tips that I explained above is also applicable to Spell Slinger. Yeah, you can use Comet, Frost Wall, Boundless Energy and Efficiency if you're having troubles with mana. But you should not have troubles with mana with correct equipment, and that's what we are going to see right now. So first of all, as you can see, we actually scaling with critical strike. We need high chance of critical hit, therefore we will need to invest in a little bit of nodes that will give us critical hit chance. So critical hit chance for spells over here, like even over here for meta skills, and increasing critical hit chance if we triggered a skill recently. So we're dealing critical hits and we're gaining more energy and more energy and more energy. But at the same time, we need this more energy generation from different passive nodes like Energize, Invocated Efficiency, Efficient Inscriptions, and Dynamism. So this is all the nodes that used for meta skills, which is cast on crit, cast on elemental ailment, and we need them. So we can't invest in critical damage bonus. Therefore, to actually start outputting damage, you need these bracers. However, I farmed these bracers without these bracers. Basically, it's playable. You can clear like tier 2 content without high critical damage. But with these bracers, oh my goodness, they will be just insane. So this bracers right now is 2 divine orbs. It's pretty easy, pretty fast to farm. You can easily get them. Like beta versions will go for like 4 divine orbs. I would say just look for critical hit chance and that's it. You don't care about attack speed. You can have some higher dexterity, but again, 4 divine orbs for really good gloves is really nice. Also, it's nice to have socket in them. So socket will be the one that will increase effect of Arcane Search on you. Arcane Search will give us casting speed and mana regeneration rate. So it just buffs our Arcane Search, it's really nice. But how we can survive? Again, we're not investing in all energy shield nodes, we not having even good energy shield armor. We're using this 470 energy shield armor for a big reason. First of all, we can completely ignore Mind over Matter. Again, since we can't invest into all good nodes, I would say Chaos Inoculation is a no for us. I don't want Chaos Inoculation, I want high amount of effective hit pool. So I want high life, I want high mana, I want high energy shield at the same time. And this armor is pretty good. I got really nice version, so we got increased energy shield and increased mana regeneration rate. That's what you are looking for on this armor. If you're lucky and you get even high maximum mana, that's nice, but again, it's one of the uniques that you may want to look for. Exactly this version right now, even slightly better, can be bought for like 80 exalted orbs. So it's not really like high cost equipment. But here's the coolest part. This armor will always have 50% damage taken from mana before life. So that's what basically kinda removes necessity of mind over matter. Still, if you check, I got 85% of damage taking from mana before life, and that's what you're aiming for. To have this insane power, we need to have this Force of the Will from Ascendancy points, because it will give 20% of damage is taken from mana before life, very nice survival boost. But also there is Idol or Rune, I forgot, or Soul Core, something like this, that gives you 15% of damage taken from mana before life, so that's what you're looking for, that's it. These two items already giving us insane amount of mana regeneration, what we exactly need, and insane amount of damage. But here's the last part, it's our slapper. Yeah, this build basically slaps, and that's because we're running Scepter in the offhand. Again, if you know just a little bit of Path of Exile, you know that these skills are just awful. They cost you 100 spirit to use. So you need to have at least 200 spirit to use them, but also extra 30 spirit for siphon elements. It's not achievable by any like okayish equipment, but it's achievable if you're using Scepter in your offhand. So if you can't afford this type of Scepter, I don't know, probably you can afford it. Scepters like this goes for like 10 Exalted Orbs, so just go and buy it. But there's 3 different Scepters. There's Shrine Scepters that will give you lightning damage, like I'm having right now. There's also Cold and Fire Scepters. I got all of them, but in the end I stick with this Lightning Scepter for more chances to shock. Shock gives more damage, and also with Stormweaver we can actually apply double shock on enemies, which is really cool, and that's basically what I'm running. Every Scepter will come with extra spirit. Also I'm getting a Rabbit Talisman for 10% increased spirit, so in the end we got 210 spirit, and by getting efficient inscriptions, meta skills will have 20% increased reservation efficiency. So that's why we can actually use custom elemental ailment that will cost 83 spirit and custom critical that will cost 77 spirit, which gives us ability to activate siphon elements, and if you're lucky enough and you got extra 10 spirit, maybe from your amulet, maybe from your body armor. Yes, you can corrupt the body armor to get extra spirit, but it's pretty lucky. Then you will be able to even activate these guys, Mana Remnants. Mana Remnants will give us insane amount of survivability, because enemies will drop Mana Remnants and they will replenish our mana. Don't forget, a lot of our damage that we take is actually taken from life. Don't forget, loads of our damage that we take from enemies is taken from mana before life, so that's basically how we're able to survive. We can tank all energy shields, and we're tanking with mana, and as you can see, when we're taking any damage, it instantly replenishes. And that's what's so cool. Again, I'm using utility belt, gives me ability to use bunch of flasks instantly, and just like that we can instantly replenish our mana, our health, and basically run and gun like a complete storm menace. It's pretty cool. Technically that's it for equipment. What else you need to actually run this build if you want to try it? Technically you need to understand extra support gems that you may use. Again, one of the options is Comet. Like double Comet works, so you can combine it with like double Comet, chance to crit, and this one will go with Zenith, or maybe this one will go with Spell Cascade actually. So that's basically what you can do. Also there's more spells that can be really good. For example, for custom crit you can use Lightning Conduit. Whenever it hits shocked targets, it will have more damage with hits per 5% shock effect on enemy. As Stormweaver we can apply double shock, and this double shock will have like 40% magnitude in total. So this combination can be very deadly. We will try it right now against this boss, so let's charge our infusions. Infusions are ready, so we're removing his resistances and we're trying to hit this custom crit, and it's basically it. So yeah, he's done. It's insanely powerful combination. Again, for me it's just more fun to have double Comet, but this also works. At the same time, main idea is to actually have ability to use different infusion spenders. So Comets using only 5 infusions, and technically having more than 3 Comets again is just overkill. There's not a lot of fire infusions. Still, these Comets can freeze enemies and it generates lots of energy. But for example, Snap is a really nice spell. So Snap will blast frozen, shocked or ignited enemies, creating elemental blast that leaves behind infusion remnant. And we always have frozen, shocked and ignited enemies, and it will always create cold, lightning and fire infusion, with a chance to create additional remnants with quality, and also Whenever we pick up cold, we will get lightning. Whenever we pick up lightning, we will get fire. Whenever we pick up fire, we will get cold. And that's basically the rotation. So in reality, if you want, you can swap Frost Wall for something like this. And then you just need to get extra elemental spenders over here. So options, options, options. One of the easiest options is Firestorm actually. Firestorm is pretty cool. It can eat all the infusions you got. Another powerful spell is Ember Fusilade, because you will get these lightning infusions and Ember Fusilade will just cast on you. You don't need to hover the button, so you will run pretty quickly and you will fire them in all the places. Again, funniest part, you can basically use the same strategy, same build, and instead of comets you can just spam a bunch of Ember Fusillades. It will look like this. You will run on sprint, and while sprinting you will destroy enemies with loads of Ember Fusillades, but they don't stack on multiple cast on crit and cast on elemental ailments, since there's a limit. In this case, of course, our Firestorm is a lot better choice. So Firestorm will look like this. It will just shoot, 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 and what I don't like in Firestorm is just so tiny. I don't know. When casting Firestorm, I want to have something massive, but I see like little mini Firestorm and it's almost never defeating enemies. Still, it's an option and you may find some solutions and usages for it. But another one of my go-to will be Flame Wall. Flame Wall is really fun because it will improve our damage with Spark. It will basically give extra damage as fire damage to sparks. So let's see how it looks like. Whenever we freeze, chill, ignite enemies, it will create flame wall, and now every projectile will be fire infused, and it's pretty funny, pretty cool. But adds a little bit of cast time to our spell, so it won't trigger all the time. Still, it's nice option. So you kinda know options, but most common solution is to just have one single spell on every skill. For example, it can be cast on elemental ailment, lightning conduit, with Zenith for more damage, and then cast on crit with double Comet. Comet and Frost Wall on Spell Slinger with Spell Cascade. So that's my favorite combination for full like damage and ability to completely obliterate everything, also generate loads of energy, and that's basically how I like to do this stuff. Right now I'm transitioning into final form, and it will be just brutal and will melt basically everything. This build is already capable to defeat all the content, and you can make it even better. So to make it better, you want to find wand with +4 level to all spell skills, get higher critical hit chance on it, and it will be just massive. At the same time, your amulet can have +3 level to all spell skills, and for complete min maxers you can even go for wand with +1 level to all spell skills via augmentation, basically via rune. Can you run staff on this build? Let's just slap this bad boy with a little bit of comets and comets on crit. And let's not forget, when we reach a little bit of higher level, we will ignore all non-negative elemental resistance on frozen enemies, and we will multiply our damage via exposure and curse for even more damage. Yeah, there's one more item that I'm using, and it's Javel. Of course, a little bit about Javels. Javels basically with increased chance for ailment, like increased chance for shock is nice. Meta skill gain increased energy is must have, and also having critical hit chance, critical chance basically helps, because we need this high critical chance. But to get all the skills right now on earlier levels, of course, I'm using this Javel, it's called From Nothing, and this one cost a little bit, so this one is not cheap. But it gives me ability to get all the skills over here without using smaller roads. So I'm getting high chance for critical hit for spells, I'm getting power to my elemental archon, I'm getting mana regeneration while moving, spell damage per maximum mana, and again we like stacking mana all the time, some lightning damage and stuff like that. So basically it gives me ability to allocate all this stuff. Do you need it to run the build? No, you can just get a little bit of critical damage over here, maybe power of your archon really helps, and maybe this mana regeneration. So what to sacrifice? Well, it's up to you. But that's what I'm running right now. You can sacrifice a little bit of like meta skills over here to cast less. And that's it. By the way, anointment on amulet is conservative casting to get mana regeneration and mana cost efficiency. So that's technically it. And if you want to see last form final build as soon as possible, make sure to leave a like and comment for this video, so I know that you want to see it as fast as possible.